I was gonna make that big. Shit.
What's up, everybody?
Now you're out of focus.
Oh, Lord. You ruined.
There it is.
What's up, gentlemen?
What up? What up?
Welcome back to Cover on a special Friday night episode. It's been a minute since been live on a Friday night on this channel. But as always, I want to thank Unruly for being here. Good friend, good supporter of the channel, show. Huge fan of music. Anybody that follows him on Instagram every Sunday, like clockwork, he's got them listening. What he's listening to posted, along with his pup Loki.
What did he have last? Fugazi, right?
Fugazi.
Yeah.
Fugazi.
Nice.
Tonight, Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, the first album. This was kind of a new one for me. I'd only ever heard two of the songs on the album.
Same here.
So
I only heard
it was fun getting to know it.
So,
which one had you only heard Breakdown?
yeah, that's the one I've heard. Speak up, boys, so they can hear you.
Speak up.
Yep. Same for me. Breakdown and American Girl.
Yep.
As I said, it was his first, the first record. It was released in November 9th, 1976, on Shelter Records.
Bicentennial.
Yep, the Bicentennial. So it's got an anniversary coming up here next week.
Who would have thought that?
Yeah.
You know,
not especially
you do,
but
the next album there's going to be an anniversary too.
Yeah, right. It was recorded in 1976, although I have not seen a definitive date. Anybody who has looked up any information on this album probably found what I found is there's very little information. You probably would have had to go to the documentaries or the behind the music or whatever to find any source of information.
It amazes me that an album that's in the top 500 albums of all time has such little info on it, you know?
Yeah.
Especially being Tom Petty. I mean, geez, he's a megastar.
Right. Well, every time, even if I punched it in, because the band is Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, it's their most well-known albums would come up, like Full Moon Fever, even though Full Moon Fever is technically a solo album. But Damn the Torpedoes and Into the Great Wide Open, those were the ones that were coming up, not this one. Which leads me to think, well, how did this, like you said, Jim, how did this make it on?
My theory is there's two fabulous great songs on the album, but maybe it's the top 500 because it is the introduction album to what we now know as Tom Petty, the legendary performer, musician. Maybe that's why it got ranked so high.
It was produced by Denny Cordell, who I am extremely unfamiliar with. He is an English record producer and known for producing for the Moody Blues, Leon Russell, The Move, which makes sense with the connection with Jeff Lynne, because he was a member of The Move before ELO. Procol Harum, Joe Cocker, and obviously Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. It was recorded at Shelter Studio in Hollywood, California. not Hollywood, Florida, not Hollywood, California. Initially, following its release, the album received little attention in the United States. Following a British tour, it climbed to number 24 on the UK album charts. And the single "Anything That's Rock and Roll" became a hit in the UK. After the positive reviews, it managed to reach the US charts, peaking at number 55 in 1978, where it went gold. With 3 other singles, Breakdown, American Girl, and Rockin' Around With You, which was only released in Germany. Reviewed by Robert Kreskow in 1981. Addicts of updated nostalgia and rock and roll ready-mades should find this a sly and authentic commentary on the evolving dilemma of Harold Teen, whoever that is. The songs are cute, the riffs executed with more dynamism than usual, and the singing attractively phlegmy.
What does that mean?
Phlegmy?
Like what? Like
that's kind of confusing to me.
Spit. He had rabies. He's foaming at the mouth. What does that mean?
Fleming.
Right.
Fleming, I would assume like nasally, like Willie Nelson or something, but not. Yeah. I mean, if you compare, I always kind of compared Tom Petty as like a Bob Dylan who could sing.
Yeah, he's right in that.
Yeah.
That group.
Yeah.
This album is also included in the 1001 albums you must hear before you die.
Yeah, that's a big list.
That is a big list. A lot of freaking albums on there.
Is it number 1001?
I don't know.
Where does it fall?
Well, this list, it's number 99, and I want to thank Steve Fapp. That was his number that he gave me. I reached out to him, and I'm going to be sending him a package next week, hopefully Monday. True to form, it was a year ago that those numbers were given to me, so he
totally forgot.
Couldn't remember what I was talking about. He said, "I don't recall." Fair enough.
Danny, let me ask you a question. You said it's in the top 100, right?
Yeah.
Does he have other albums on this list?
He's gotta. His solo album.
Because this cannot be,
his first solo album, I would hope, would be on it. Because to me, I think his solo album was better than this one.
That's why I'm asking.
Yeah, Full Moon Fever was nonstop hits.
Yeah.
You got to think he's got to have another album for sure, right?
I think so. I want to say Damn the Torpedoes is on here.
I mean, when you think about it, dude, having two albums on the more than one album on this list is freaking impressive, right? I'm sure the Beatles have a few, those mega
Beatles,
Zeppelin, all that. But for Tom Petty, having 2 I think it's a big achievement, no? I mean, you think he's big, but he doesn't readily come to mind as being
right. I don't know.
You nailed it with the Bob Dylan references. That you totally.
Yeah.
Wasn't Bob Dylan in the Traveling Wilburys
Yes.
with them?
Yep. Unruly, we're talking about Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. First album, debut album.
I don't know. I don't see any other ones.
Wow. Okay. That was just a question. I was just wondering.
That baffles me that this album would go over anything else that he did
Yeah, that's why I.
Unbelievable.
Wow, that is true. But you know, there's the secondary list. I'm almost certain I saw some of the other albums. Nope.
No. Okay. All right.
Um, okay,
I've never seen that. I've never seen that.
Another, I guess, a little tidbit, kind of a background. I don't know if a lot of people know. Prior to this album and the Heartbreakers, Tom Petty and several of the members were in a band called Mudcrutch, and they had shopped their sound around, their music around for a while, and they finally landed a record deal, and it was, I guess, made clear to them that it was just Tom that they wanted. They didn't want the rest of the band. And he thought, well, what do I do? What do I turn this down and you know, part with my friends, you know, that we've shed a lot of blood and sweat, you know, trying to get to this point. So he decided, okay, I'm going to sign this deal, but on one condition: I get to choose my band. So he ended up bringing in a few of the members, Mike Campbell being one of them, and Benmont Tench being another, to be part of the Heartbreakers.
What a terrible position to be put in.
Yeah. Yeah. I couldn't imagine being Tom.
Yeah.
You know,
anybody. You know, I'm sure that's happened multiple times.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You've heard that story, man. That sucks, bro. It's almost like you go forward and you have a survivor's remorse, you know, guilt or shit. That sucks.
And another thing I wanted to, I was thinking about was this album was released in late '76. Very ballsy to release a record that sounded the way this one did, when the punk movement was getting ready to blow the doors open. Because this, if anybody hasn't heard this album or heard any Tom Petty, he's not punk.
No.
He's a little bit of Southern country rock, really. And I thought, damn. And after listening to this album the last 2 weeks, it's like, how were they able to make it a success? How was it successful when all these other bands are exploding in this new genre?
Those two songs are really good for an A&B side, really.
See, your mind went to punk. My mind went to disco too. You know.
Well, yeah.
I was like, shit, in disco.
Also, 76 punk was, there wasn't really a whole lot of punk albums in 76.
Yeah, it was all underground, super underground, right?
All the New York
Ramones
scene and
was
stuff.
78.
No.
Yeah.
No, because the Pistols came out in 77. Ramones they came out in 74.
Yeah.
But they were way underground though, man.
They were underground, but 77 when the Pistols came out, that's kind of what like brought it to light.
Yeah.
the New York Dolls, all that stuff. You know, it's going
Yeah.
Iggy Pop and the Stooges.
which were earlier in the 70s.
Yeah, early 70s.
Yeah.
How did this catch on, bro? Right? How did this album make it?
Yeah.
Even with those two songs, it's.
I will say this, with like the rock music that was going on back then, this was different. To me, this was better than like REO Speedwagon and all that type, you know, the Peter Frampton type stuff, you know, all the stuff the punk rockers that created punk was tired of hearing on the radio. The glam rock type stuff, and you know, I don't know. It's kind of like
It was more watered down, right? It was just basic
like
music, right?
Pop, to me, it was like a pop version. Tom Petty's like a pop version of Leonard Skinner, I guess you could say, in a sense. But I mean, I guess that's the Florida roots also.
Yeah, right.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they got a little southern sound to them and stuff like that. But I don't know. To me, Tom Petty stands aside to me from what I know that was going on back then during that time.
Like you listen to Tom Petty and you don't automatically think Leonard Skinner or he's from Florida, though.
No,
I don't. You know, he doesn't seem like, I think of like 38 Special, Skinner, all those. They're Florida. I don't think Tom Petty's Florida.
But see, like I think, you know, like I said, I think the music that was going on then, to me, I didn't care for. I didn't care for that type of rock music, you know.
Like Journey, all that.
Journey, all that.
Eagles.
The Eagles, you know, that's not my thing, you know. And I think this kind of is one step to the side, you know, that sounds different, you know. And
it's not as commercial, right? It's not as commercial.
Yeah. You know who else doesn't like the Eagles?
Oh, the dude. Credence. Credence.
I couldn't help it. The other thing I wanted to point out was some of the session men that they had involved. Donald Duck Dunn, who, if you've ever seen the Blues Brothers.
Wait a second, what?
Donald Duck Dunn.
That's like Long Duck Dung from 16 Candles.
Yeah, well, but
Long Duck Dung.
if you've ever seen the Blues Brothers, he was the bass player that was smoking the pipe. That's Don Dunn. Emery Gordy, Jim Gordon, and Charlie Souza were all members of the additional musicians on this album. Some top tier session musicians that a lot of people used on their records back in the day. Which I thought that was cool that they were able to bring some of those guys in.
Also like Boston, that's another band that was big in 75, 76.
Dude, I cannot stand Boston.
I can't stand Boston.
I cannot stand.
Most bands who name themselves after cities usually suck.
Bro, I cannot stand Boston. I've never liked Boston, bro.
But that's the type of rock. That's the type of rock that I think that Tom Petty just stands on the other side of the spectrum of that era.
Yeah.
Chicago.
I like the early Chicago stuff though.
I do as well.
Especially that first record.
Kansas, you know, if you're named after a state or a city, it's like
Bo just said it. If you're named after a city, you suck.
Hot garbage.
What were the album sales? What were the sales for this album?
I couldn't find any sales information.
Wow.
it went gold, so it was at least 500,000. It made it to it peaked at 55 on the billboards. And it wasn't the big billboards, it was the top LPs and tape.
It was the Wish.com billboard.
Yeah, we'll go with that.
Yeah, put up by John out of his room at his parents' house.
Yeah, there really isn't a whole lot on this album.
Okay, let's cut through it. Let's cut. Come on, I can't wait. What do you guys think about this album? What are your thoughts? I've been dying for 2 weeks to know what you guys think.
Right, I'll kick it off by saying I think this album starts off really strong, goes into a big old slump, and then when the last track comes on, Starward Bound.
Yeah, I agree. It goes up and it goes really, really far down and it goes back up.
I say after the first few songs, everything kind of, to me, you get the one kind of ballad song. I can't remember the name of it, but it all kinds of starts blending together. And then like once American Girl comes on, then it just like, okay, picks it back up. That's me. Overall, decent album.
Mm-hmm. Even saying that, it's still a decent album.
It's a decent album. I do not think it belongs on this particular chart. The top 100 albums of all times.
Yeah, there's only really
there's 2 songs. There's 2 really good songs on there. There's another song I like on the album. We can get to that later. Mm-hmm. Or now, depends, whatever you like. The song "Rockin' Around with You," the very first opening track, I really liked. As soon as that track comes on, what's the first thing I said? This song sounds like George Harrison.
Yeah,
sounds like a George Harrison song. I dug it. It sounded good. It had
I never thought of that.
It had a good hook to it. Second song, goes into, the one we always know, Breakdown. Hometown Blues was all right. And then that's when it kind of, to me, it kind of slumps, and then comes back up at the end.
I tried. I really, really tried to like this album, but I just couldn't do it.
Really?
And that's all right. You don't have to try to like an album. I mean, like I said,
as a Tom Petty fan, I felt I was obligated to give it that that shot. But aside from Breakdown and American Girl, I don't like it.
Dude, I love it. Today I called Donnie and I told him, hey man, I'm excited to talk about this album. I liked it. And all I heard was crickets. And I go, oh, I can't wait tonight. I hope we do it tonight. I can't wait. And I was with my son and I go, oh.
So I had it on repeat in my truck for the last 2 weeks. So I've been trying to listen to it.
Tell me, Donnie, does that whole middle section of that album just like
I black out.
If you're driving, you don't hear it.
It really is bringing me like PTSD from Tommy, and that whole album sounded the same. That's what the middle of the album sounds like. It sounds like Tommy over again.
See,
I would say I would say it was a good thing they put American Girl last, because if they put that at the beginning of the album, the whole second half of the album would have been
really
terrible.
Really is the
only. I mean, not saying it's terrible. It's decent, I mean, like I always go back to it could be one of those albums you can put on as background music, have a couple drinks too with the friends or whatever. But other than that, it ain't no jam out album.
It's background music.
except the 2 tracks, or 3. Like I said, that first track I really liked. To me, it sounded like George Harrison.
The only other one that I found myself kind of grooving a little bit to was Mystery Man. I mean, there's moments in that song where you're like, this is all right.
Well, that was the ballad type one, wasn't it? Mystery Man. Now, wasn't that one kind of slow?
Kind of, but I mean, I'm going to be honest. In between Breakdown and American Girl, I black out.
Same here.
I was kind of
I just
comatose.
I kind of felt like the first track was such like an upbeat kind of like this is what the rest of the album's gonna be like, and it really wasn't because the rest of the songs were real slow and
yeah.
Breakdown puts me in a cardiac arrest, and I get revived at American Girl. Boom.
I mean, I can see. I can see, yeah. Beef rib. With this one, you can see the direction, what they're going to do later. A little bit, particularly with the two big, big tracks. But I just yesterday I had to turn it off. I said I'm done. I can't do it anymore. I tried. I never thought I'd say that about a Tom Petty album.
Oh, I know. Don't get me wrong. I love Tom Petty.
Mm-hmm.
I've never heard this album, but I just feel this album is on the charts that it's on because it was his debut, not just because it was
I agree with
an amazing album. And I hate doing it, and I'm sorry, but I have to keep going back to Whitesnake. Whitesnake, the only reason that album is on this chart is because of that one song. Let's be serious. Just because one popular song, I don't think you should be on the top 100 albums of all time.
It should be a front to back, perfect, all killer, no filler.
Yeah.
Perfect album to be on the list.
I agree with everything you guys have said. But I love Breakdown, American Girl. There's no arguing there. But I heard this and like you just turned around a few minutes ago and asked him, what was the name of that song? You don't remember any of these other songs.
No.
You don't remember any of these other songs.
Decision.
But the thing that I got from this album was I wanted more. I wanted more in this sense. I felt like all these were like snippets of songs that they never completely. I wish they were a jam band. I wish they did Breakdown for 15 minutes. I wish they got that. That's an amazing groove. I wish that song was at least 3 to 4 minutes long. It's only like 2. What's up, Fishcat? Hey, it's only like 2 minutes long. All the songs are so short that I don't think they give them enough time. I was like, dude, get into this song more. In every song, just get into it more, jam a little bit more in this. I just felt like
maybe they were still looking for that because back in the old days to get a song on the radio it had to be a certain length. Maybe that's why.
Maybe that's it. But I
they were hoping they would reel and catch something, and Breakdown and American Girl did.
They did. I think American Girl more than Breakdown because even Breakdown, I think it should have kept on going a little bit more, man. It's a great freaking groove. I love it. It's just a badass song. I just don't think any of these songs were complete, man. It's like it might have been the record company. I don't know. Maybe they were just figuring themselves out. But it was like, God, I wish they would have gave me more. And maybe that's what they do, later on, when he became somebody, I guess, where he had more power to do. It just felt like this was half-assed.
Well, it might be because he's so young, but he really does not sound like Tom Petty at all.
It's
like if it weren't because we said it was Tom Petty and we saw the album, I would have never guessed.
Yeah,
like he really hasn't found his thing yet.
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
I agree and I disagree. I agree and disagree, but
it's just left me once. It was like. I just felt like, man, they should have just gone into a jam band and just kept that some of these grooves going longer. It was just like wanted more of the songs, and maybe
Yeah.
you would remember the songs if it was that way. I don't know.
And that's another thing with there not being no information. We don't know how long they took them to record this album, if they were rushed or not, or
Mhm. We're doing his first album.
if there was any problems in the recording, like how Hendrix was, how he lost half of his album,
Yeah,
so they had to do an overnight type thing.
it just
With-
it's I'm like
It's not good. It's not bad.
it doesn't deserve to be on this list. Definitely.
No.
It's above.
No.
It's slightly above average.
I would have, if not Full Moon Fever, at least Damn the Torpedoes over this one.
Out of a 10, I would give it a 4.
4.5.
The thing, like you were bringing up, how this was able to catch at that time, even with Breakdown and America Girl, it's amazing that it caught.
Yeah,
it really is. And we're talking about it 44 years later, or 46 years later, whatever.
46 years, yeah.
It's wow.
I want to go back to something
about it. But we're talking about it because it was Tom Petty, I think.
Yeah. I want to go back to what Lil Boat said about sounding like Tom Petty. Full Moon Fever, I keep comparing it to Full Moon Fever, but that was released 13 years after. So there's a lot of growing, and that album, every song on that album was a hit.
Mm-hmm.
So you kind of get used to the sound that was produced on that album. Or Into the Great Wide Open is another one. I think that's the follow-up to this one, or to Full Moon Fever. You get used to the later stuff. And an album like this is when they're first starting out, it's just, I don't want to say it sounds raw.
In a sense, yeah.
I totally agree with what you're trying to say. I already know what you're trying to say.
You could see the potential, the future, and
right.
Everybody's so used to later Tom Petty that
Mm-hmm. Like I listened to Breakdown, and I was just thinking, it Breakdown first album, and then I remember when You Got Lucky came out. You remember that song?
Yeah.
And the video came out, and it's kind of like the same kind of groove. It's slow, it's all that. But when that song came out, man, that shit was massive. That was on repeat on MTV all the time. And kind of listening to Breakdown, you could see them evolve into that. You see the potential, I guess, in this album. That's what you see. And I'm actually surprised they got a chance to reach that potential.
That's all I got.
All right, guys. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
What's the next album?
That's all I got to say about that.
Man, why'd you have to bring up Whitesnake, bro?
Because we did it, and it's a comparison point.
Comparison point. Yes, exactly.
It's same reason Lil Boat brought up Tommy.
I'm just messing with you.
So
now I'm all depressed.
The question, my question for you guys is this better than the two aforementioned albums?
Yes.
Tommy and
yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
For sure. It's palatable, and it's not as long and dragging as Tommy. That was the biggest problem with the album. It was so long, and all the songs sounded the same, and it just dragged. And we were driving when we were listening to, I don't know if I brought this up when we were talking about it, but we were driving when we were listening to it, and we got lost and it was all we saw was our headlights, the road, and trees around us.
And Tommy playing.
And it was like a horror film. It was like a never-ending road. You couldn't see anything that wasn't like 5 feet in front of us. It was like a horror film. It's the worst.
Breakdown was my cardiac arrest. Tommy was my flat line, and then I'm an American Girl.
You'll never forget Tommy. You'll never forget that moment.
Nah. I think it's the worst song we've done. I do think.
I'll never forget what he mentioned about being on the ride, getting lost.
It was actually terrifying because he had no idea where we were.
I don't even know where we
And
were.
this album was just.
Where were you going? Where were you
I don't
going?
remember. I
It
don't
just
remember.
sounded
All I
like a
remember is being lost,
God.
driving through neighborhoods, trying to turn around, doing this, doing that.
It
Tommy
was,
playing, and
it was the worst because it just sounded like it felt like it took forever.
it's in the Twilight Zone.
It really was. There was no cars. It was nothing. It was like it was
Tommy, can
just
you hear
us.
me?
in this one street that felt like it was going down forever, and the song sounded like it was going on forever. Ugh.
Good times.
I have like a phobia of it now.
Good times. Good times.
You should make a movie about that, just going down a never-ending road.
They did in a movie called Lost Highway, or
Yeah.
what's that one that I'm out in left field.
There was
Never
a-
mind.
Uh,
They did one back in the 90s that Marilyn Manson starred in. It was like Lost Highway or Lost
there's a-
Soul, or
there's a good
the whole movie was talking about the whole first half of the movie. It seemed like they were driving down a 2-lane blacktop at night for like 5-10 minutes.
there's a good movie on YouTube. It's like a 15-minute like student horror film, and it's really good. It's called No Through Roads. It's like these bunch of these school kids. And it's like a camcorder video, and they're just going like they go through like this like railroad tunnel, and they come out, and they're back at like
Where they started?
were before, and it's just never ending. The radio keeps like flickering and playing the same like word over and over and over. It really was like what we were going through. It's like they go through it, then they're somewhere else. They think they're out. They go through it, and then they're back again.
You lived it. You lived their movie.
We did. It really was just like that. Okay.
But enough about us. Let's talk about you.
Let's talk about the album cover. That's all I want to know.
Oh, the album cover?
It is cover to cover.
Yeah, he pointed out this evening that he's wearing a bandolier
Yeah, it's really weird looking.
for some reason. He's got
He's got a bunch of bullets.
a belt full of bullets on his wrapped around his shoulder.
I didn't notice that.
Come on. Yeah, he is. Let me
Maybe that was his version of like being punk against the mainstream stuff.
He was trying to tough himself up.
All the Bostons and Kansases and Journeys and whatnot.
Austin's in Kansas.
Winnipegs.
Winnipeg. I mean, Sam. No. See,
Cover looking like Donnie.
everything I type in just brings up the band or one of their other albums.
Doesn't send a link. He's not prepared with the album cover. It is the cover to cover show.
We've only been doing this for like 2 years.
Let's talk about the fact that he had the same haircut for 40 years.
Right?
Straight on. He did the straight on Johnny Ramone.
Dude had it for like 50
There we
years.
go.
Yeah, I've had it for 50.
I don't know how well we're going to be able to see this, but
There you go.
Oh yeah, I didn't never know.
it doesn't look very bright. But
Now I'm going to point out by the top the heart, the guitar, and the banner and
Yeah.
stuff. That's like what you would see in a traditional of the era tattoo shop, like Tattoo Flash.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And he's got the leather jacket for toughness with the bandolier with ammo in it.
It's kind of false advertising because it looks kind of like a punk album cover of the time.
I'd like to know what's up with the smoke.
Is it smoke or is it like a
Or steam
marker or
or
something?
Yeah.
Not a good cover, bro.
It is a good cover.
I don't like that cover.
I like it.
I don't.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of it either.
It's
the only
almost-
thing I like is
You would think he would have had the Heartbreakers in there too.
yeah. Of course, there again, that probably goes back to that label.
It's kind of weird though with the smoke and it seems like it's like pieced together, like it was like a collage.
Yeah.
It looks like a high school project,
Yeah.
and the high school kid. Nothing against high school kids. I was in high school once, but it looks like that's the kind of
During this time though, right?
during the no, not during this time. I was in elementary at this time,
Oh, okay.
but it looks like
wasn't.
something just pieced together, you know. And let's add
Yeah.
smoke because it's cool. And how about if you were bullets? Yeah. It looks like a lot of different people's idea, and he said, "Sure, go with it." You know, he probably had nothing to do with it.
I could see that. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, he don't look too thrilled in the picture.
He's like biting his cheek or something.
What's on the? Can you get the back of it? What's on the back?
Let me see.
If you're able to. You might not be able to see the back.
Oop.
I got it.
Greatest hits. You found it?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
It's the band, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Which is another thing indicative of the era.
Sorry for the reflection.
Not the. I don't know what's up with that guy with his hands behind like a supermodel. That's not. I don't know
Oh no.
what happened.
I'm not sure. I don't even know who that is. That's Mike Campbell down there in the right corner, I think. Isn't that? Or is that Tench?
Mhm. The guitarist.
Yeah.
Mhm. It's all right.
But there was a lot of those types of back photos back in those days.
Yeah, Van Halen had a couple.
Van Halen. You guys mentioned, even though you don't like them, Journey and Boston, Styx,
AC/DC too.
AC/DC, all of that seemed to be the standard, was to have the band full
On the back, yeah.
spread on the back.
I know that's kind of like back in the 90s when I was like
Oh, there it is.
finding new music. A lot of times you'll pick up an album because the way they look, you know about what you're going to get by the way they look.
Mhm.
So maybe that's kind of like how they've always done it, you know?
Whoop.
They'll create an album cover, but the back will kind of show you about what kind of music they make
Yeah,
just by their appearance.
that's during your hair metal days, right?
Yes, sir.
The bigger the hair, the better the music.
Yeah.
I don't know about that one.
White Snake. Oh,
Taller the hair, closer to God.
Closer to God.
that sounds like Striper. Striper.
Oh no.
Anyway,
That was their motto. That would have been that was Striper's motto, bro.
Has to
Closer to
be.
hair, closer to God.
I think Dave Mustaine played for Striper at one point. I think.
That would have been something.
That'd be news to me.
I think that was before Metallica.
That would have. He's like their godfather or something.
They're the one that do all their stuff yellow and black, right?
Yeah, Striper.
Yeah, he did. And I think he left because
They were
everything was
they were
yellow
a
and
Christian band, weren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Metal band.
Christian metal. That was a big deal when they came out. That was their big gimmick. Oh. I remember me and my friends were like, no. I don't remember anybody liking Striper, bro. I
don't know any songs by Striper. I don't think I've ever heard an album.
I don't remember any kids talking about it in school.
Bet you won't put a Striper album on the wheel.
No.
This show's over, bro. You're on here by yourself.
Yep. The only way I would do that is if we were just critiquing album covers, because they did have some pretty cool album covers. I will say that.
Striper?
Yeah, they had a couple cool ones.
Bro, I'm thinking. You know what? I mentioned the B-52s. I'm like, none of you guys better put a freaking Stripers album.
You ain't got to worry about me putting the Striper on there.
That's not even funny. I don't know about the B-52s. I got to think about that. I don't know what album. There's so many albums.
I think the only hair metal band that's savable or something that I think is okay is Twisted Sister. I think they're the only pretty decent hair metal band.
Oh.
I've got my two albums.
You got your two albums. What are your two albums?
I got my two.
I'm pretty sure I got my two. I'll just throw two out there.
See, the way I'm looking at it, like you guys were mentioning a couple of albums and I've never heard them. That's kind of like what I want to give you guys. Albums that I like that you've never heard. You know, I don't want to.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
You know, so I'll stick with the B-52s. I don't think you guys have ever got. Have you guys got into the B-52s? That first album?
I've heard of them because I think John Lennon was a big fan of B-52s.
I'll stick with that one. Because that's a really good album.
That's a good
in
one.
my opinion. I know one really likes it too. Because we can.
I'm interested in hearing it.
It's more of a jam than you would think. It's not Love Shack. It's actually a little harder. They jam.
Yeah.
I'll stick with that one. I'll just have to think of another one. You guys want to say what your albums are? If you got them?
Yeah. Donnie?
Go ahead.
You go first.
All right. I'm going to go with. I'm probably going to steal this one from you because you brought it up. Like, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Rancid, Out Come the Wolves.
Ooh.
Heard it?
And I will go Social Distortion, self-titled album.
What's the cover of that one look like?
I will show you.
That's the one with the skeleton, right?
Yeah, hold on.
I have not heard either of those albums.
Me neither. I think I've only heard one Social Distortion. It's the one where I think he's on the cover and it's like he's with the guitar jumping or something.
Yeah, that's Somewhere Between Heaven and Hell. That's a really good album too. That would be my other.
I've heard that one. That's the only one I've heard.
Oh, that one. Okay. Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Cool.
Oh, okay. I've seen that cover.
That's a badass cover, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're all into comics, and that fits right in.
It's a badass album.
Yeah, it looks like one of those not a prequel horror, but those 50s.
Yeah, Mike Ness has always been like real big into like gangsters and stuff, like the 30s and stuff.
That's a cool album. What about you, Little Boat?
I had like a list of like 13 albums or something to choose from. I came really prepared,
Let me
but
get my Rolodex out.
the two albums I picked, I want to pick a Ramones album because they're my favorite band. I want to pick an oddball one. Too Tough to Die.
Too Tough to Die. Never heard it.
It is a forgotten masterpiece. The album is so good, and everyone hates it. Such a good album. And for my
I don't hate
second, I'm gonna go with Descendants' debut, Milo Goes to College, which is also
What's the name of the band?
Descendants.
Ooh, I've never even heard of that band.
They're like a early hardcore band with like Black Flag and Minor Threat, and
You are your
and their early album was
I would say they're the beginning of pop punk. Personally,
82.
I don't like them.
Have you heard the first album though?
You are your father's son. Look at you.
What was the album title again? A little bit.
Milo Goes to College.
Milo Goes to College. And then flunks out.
All right, I guess I got an album. Okay, so you guys are going with some of your favorites that might not be our favorites or we've never heard. It doesn't mean it, So I'm gonna throw out. No, you know what? Go ahead, Donnie. No, you know what? I'm gonna throw out
That and I just wanted to kind of stay away from what could possibly be in the top 100 or
Yeah. That's why I picked Too Tough to Die.
Otherwise, I would say, hey, Clash, let's do Clash London Calling.
right.
But I mean, that's already on our wheel. That's already in the top. But that's an album I really love and would love to talk about.
God.
So I figured I'd pick something a little different that I like that I think y'all might like.
Oh, I'm not going with that one that you might like. I might be going with something. These guys ain't gonna like this, but I love it, and I keep thinking of this one album, and I just don't want to say it. I don't want to put it out there.
Put it out there.
No, because I'm thinking of other albums. I'm trying to think, but I keep going down. We've done Pink Floyd. That's one of my favorites. We've done Zeppelin, I guess. Yeah, or we will. Okay, my other favorite band is Radiohead, so we're gonna do a Radiohead album. We're gonna do Kid A.
Okay. That's one I've heard, but only once. I've heard OK Computer more because I have it.
Yeah, I don't want to pick it. I didn't want to pick OK Computer. I was between Kid A, Amnesiac, or Hail to the Thief. So I went with Kid A.
Well, my two albums, I was going to go with Weezer's Blue Album, but I changed my mind. And the other album I was going to go with was going to be Rage Against the Machine, Evil Empire, but I changed my mind on that one because two other albums came up on my radar and I went, ooh. So Sublime and Venom's Black Metal.
Nice.
Because I freaking love that album.
There was actually an album I thought of tonight that I don't know if you guys heard, probably not, but it was a great album. Last time I heard it was a really long time ago, and it still stands to me. The last time I heard it, this album still stands strong for the time period. And the band only made the one album because the singer died after they did.
I already know what you're gonna say.
What?
It's gonna be the Germs.
No. There's a band called Snot.
I think. Yeah.
And the album, last time I heard the album, I'm like, man, this album really stands up for the test of time, and is really good. But short-lived band because the singer died.
How did he die?
I think suicide.
Oh wow. I thought, what's the name of the album? Picking Your Nose?
I don't even know. It should be the only album.
I
think they only had the one album.
Well, that's the name of the band is Snot.
Yeah, I think that's the self-titled.
Oh, it's a self-title. Okay.
I believe so.
Okay.
But that was one I was thinking of that would be interesting to do just because,
Why not?
you know.
One album I definitely had that was like up there that I really want to do was X Los Angeles. That was on my list.
That's a good album. I was
That's a nice. See, I like that album cover better, bro.
Yeah.
That's a badass album cover, dude. You don't forget that.
Matter of fact, I'm gonna have to give it a listen to because it's been a while.
I should have picked Frontiers by Journey or REO Speedwagon. How to you can tune a tuba, but you can't tune a piano. No, I like REO Speedwagon.
Are we able
So
to
do I.
do repeats on this one? Can we do like quick
right
time?
in the storm out.
Love writing the sperm out.
No repeats.
Oh, okay.
No Tommy.
No Tommy.
Yeah, Bo, relax with the
I'll
timing.
put Tommy and Whitesnake back on the wheel.
We do
I'll be sick those days.
another Who album. It's going to be Who's Next. I love that album.
I think I only like one period of the Who. It's when they did "You Better You Bet" that album.
You better.
That album I like, and there was another song on that.
I think that's the last Keith Moon album. I want to say.
That album. I like a few songs on that one.
You know, it'd be interesting to do a show on is soundtracks.
Ooh, that is a good idea.
Ooh, we should do that. Oh, okay. How about this?
Because I just thought about that because I just recently acquired a vinyl. I don't think it's the soundtrack, but it's like titled American Graffiti, and it's just full of like 50s music and stuff like that. You know, like you would hear in American Graffiti. You know, that'd be
We could
interesting.
do that, and we each pick a soundtrack or one of our favorite soundtracks. We could do that.
I would say Repo Man, top of my head. Soundtrack.
Boy, there's so many good ones. Pulp Fiction had a great one. Reservoir Dogs.
I would say Garden State.
Garden State.
Garden State or yeah, I would go Garden State. Uh-oh, what's it gonna be? These are wait up. Okay, let's see what's on here. What's left? Sergeant
Zeppelin, White Album, Never Mind the Bullocks. It's a good album. Eliminator, Sergeant Pepper, London Calling.
Let's do.
These are some big albums. There's 4 bigger albums. There's 4. Oh, whatever. Just spin it. Let's see what we're doing. Have you guys all heard of these albums?
I haven't heard Eliminator.
You haven't heard
Or
Eliminator.
Yeah, that's
ZZ Top.
I haven't heard.
I think I've heard all these albums. I think there's none left that I haven't heard. Not heard.
How did I know? How did I know?
You called it last week.
Yeah, you actually did. You're saying next time we're doing Eliminator.
Wow, Eliminator.
Well, better luck next time.
What in the Dominion voting system you got going on here?
Yeah, a lot livelier music than this last one.
Hey, I'm okay with ZZ Top though.
It's a good album.
Yeah. Guess whose album this is?
Yours.
Brother Steve Whiting.
Oh,
No.
Stephen Whiting.
I haven't heard from that guy in a long time. No, I'm kidding. Me and him were texting today. Oh, we should have him on.
Yeah.
Should. He hasn't been on since.
I'll say something to him.
It's been a long time, right?
I think Highway to Hell was the last
Yeah,
one.
Highway to Hell.
He did that one in Thin Lizzy, right?
Thin Lizzy and Back in Black.
Back in Black. Steve
That'd be awesome.
Eliminator. Oh, I could see this being a Steve liking ZZ Top.
I have to bring up Back to the Future 3 because that's really all I know him for.
See, every time I see Eliminator, I think of Agnostic Front from the song Eliminator from Cause for Alarm.
Yeah.
Cause for Alarm album.
This album was massive. It was big. It was big. This album had a lot of hits. A lot of hits. And the videos. We gotta talk about the video. If we're gonna do this album, you gotta watch the videos.
I've seen the videos back growing up
That'd be a good one, dude.
on
Music
MTV and
videos.
VH1. Played them all the time.
This was a video album, dude. This was part of the whole, and then and the guitars and that's all part of this album.
I'll have to get my little Roadster out.
Yes.
I have one like the one in the video.
Yeah.
And you got to watch Back to the Future 3 because they're in that, and they do the spin guitar
In
thing.
like 1885. Yeah, that's
Oh,
awesome.
that's cool, man. I like this. I don't know. It's been a long time since I've heard it, though. Oh my God.
All right. So next episode, ZZ Top's Eliminator, chosen by Steve White.
What's the next album, Bo? After this?
You know, it ain't gonna be London Calling. So don't
Yeah.
pick it.
It'll probably be. Can you bring it back up the wheel, Donnie, or did you close it down?
I can bring it back up.
Let's see who wins. Let's all have guesses.
I feel like it's gonna be Zeppelin.
That's what I was gonna say. But I am going to go. I'm gonna go with. It'll probably be. I'll say the White Album.
Nah. That's one we want to do, so that one ain't gonna be it either. I like Sgt. Pepper or Zeppelin.
I'm going with Nevermind the Bullocks.
I'll be fine with that.
I think that one's next. That's my guess.
Or if you London Calling, Whoosh. You know what? I'll pick London Calling because I feel lucky. It won't be it, but I'll pick it.
You want it. You're trying to wish it into existence.
I'm anxious to do that one too. So
Me too.
Eliminator.
All right, fellas.
Look at that. We made it past an hour, Donnie.
Barely.
I didn't think we were going to. I was like, I don't have any information on this album. Plus, I don't like it.
Yeah, so thank you everybody who tuned in. Appreciate it. Unruly and Fish Cat.
Anybody who pops in on the rewind, we appreciate you.
Very much. But
In the meantime,
we do this for fun. It's fun.
yes. In the meantime, get out there and listen to some music.
Do it. Do it. Do it.